So here we are in another part of the house that's a common source of injury. It's the home exercise equipment room. Today we have here, for example, a treadmill as a piece of equipment that's commonly used. I think the first thing that's important to remember is to be dressed appropriately. You have to have the right shoes, certainly, and the right exercise equipment so you don't get tangled up in moving parts. For example, I'm not dressed for usage of the equipment now. I've got a tie on that can easily get caught in moving parts. I don't have the right shoes and my pants are too long. So remember that before you even start, it's important to be dressed properly. Now, once you get on the equipment, don't forget the most important accessory, which is the handrail. As you get on, you want to be able to maintain your balance. It's actually easy to, as you're getting on the equipment, to accidentally fall off. So be sure to avail yourself of maintaining your stability by using the handrail. Now, once you start the equipment, also remember that as you get more fatigued, it's easy to lose your balance. So even if you're not using the handrails while the equipment is running, make sure you're aware of where they are and use them to help yourself with balance, especially as you get more tired. And perhaps the most important thing to remember is, especially with a treadmill that has a moving belt, when you're ready to stop, you want to actually straddle the belt and put your feet on the side gutters, which are stationary, and then turn the belt off. If you forget that, it's very easy to have the belt continue to move and it'll actually sort of whip you off the back of the treadmill. And it's a very common source of injury where people forget to actually straddle the treadmill and put their feet on the parts that are stationary. So here we are in the bathroom, which is another common area that's potentially dangerous for falls in the household. The first thing to remember is that the bathroom frequently has wet surfaces, especially the floor. So as you're walking around in bare feet or have towels around you, it's actually very easy to lose your footing and fall, which is an incredibly common source of injury in the home. The next thing to remember is that the bathroom, and the bathtub in particular, frequently doesn't have adequate handrails. So as you try to negotiate steps where there may or may not be water also, it's very easy to lose your balance as you climb into a tub or a whirlpool. So try and make sure that you have some adequate handrails, or that you're aware of what your balance situation is going to be as you move up and down stairs or any other obstacles in the bathroom. It's very easy, once again, to lose your balance, especially with wet surfaces involved. So here we have another topic that's important to consider, which is shoe wear in the house. I've got with me right now two types of slippers, and you'd be surprised how important your shoe wear in the household can affect whether or not you fall. Now, these are very cute slippers. These are the little piggy slippers, and while this little piggy went to market, it also caused the owner to fall down the stairs and suffer a fracture. The problem with these kind of slippers is that they, as you can see here, have really no tread on them, so they're smooth surfaced, and especially in areas where there might be wet around the bathroom, it's very easy to lose your footing. These slippers may be a little bit more conservative styled, but what they have more importantly is tread on the bottom, so that you're going to get better traction and prevent yourself from slipping. Something simple like this, which is the kind of shoe wear you might consider wearing around the bedroom or at night, actually is very important to prevent yourself from accidentally falling. So here I am in the bedroom with man's best friend. This is Kramer, my buddy. But what's important to remember is that there are millions of pets in the country, and it's very, very common that people get into accidents with their pets. And as unhappy as that might sound, it's actually very common because it's easy to misunderstand or underestimate how your pets sort of get into your life in the bedroom, for example. Now, what I mean is, for example, when Kramer is sleeping and I have to get up in the middle of the night to answer the phone or go to the bathroom, first off, it's actually very easy to misunderstand where your dog is or your cat and trip over them. The next thing is your dogs bring all their toys into the bedroom and all over the house, and although they love their toys, it's actually very easy to get your foot on something that's round or rolly, and as you get up, you realize you actually lose your footing and slip. And especially at night, toys are strewn all over the place, especially bones and stuffed animals. It's very easy, once again, that they represent sort of unseen obstacles that you can easily trip over. So I suppose good advice would be to remember where your animals are and try and clean up around the bedroom and keep things off the floor. And a last comment is also leashes represent things like electrical cords. It's very easy to get your feet tied up in them. So we love all our dogs, and Kramer's a good boy. But just remember that all the equipment that comes with your dogs potentially represents a hazard for falling. Here's another spot that's a common source of orthopedic injuries. It's the stairwells in households, very commonplace. And the first thing I'd like to point out is that the rug on the floor here is really a danger. It's not just going to get caught beneath your feet, but it'll get caught on the stairway, or actually provides a surface that moves when you step on it. So rugs on stairwells generally is a no-no because it's an incredibly common source of injury. Another thing to remember that's critically important is the handrails are just that. They're for your hands. So when you walk up and down the stairs, be sure to grab hold of the handrail so that when you lose your balance, you can sort of rescue yourself. And the last thing to remember is that the handrails themselves need some sort of routine maintenance. So make sure that they're properly anchored, because again, if this sort of fails, it's easy to actually completely fall off the stairwell and fall down several floors and really suffer serious injuries. Now here we are at the Orthopedic Injury Central, which again is the stairwell. And something I'd like to talk about now sounds silly, but it's actually falling up the stairs, not falling down the stairs. It seems strange, but actually many people do this, and it all relates to having this area cluttered. It's very important to resist that temptation to put your shoes or books or other articles around the entrance to a stairwell, because it's very easy to misinterpret where these items are, and that's actually why people fall up the stairs. They're running up the stairs, they miss a step or two, and then pretty soon they're flat on their back and they fall down the rest of the few stairs. So it's very important to understand that you shouldn't have any distractions or any articles on the floor around the entrance to a stairwell. And this includes something that's a temptation like a purse, because you put it here for convenience, you'll get it the next time you go up to your bedroom, and as you're running around the stairwell, running up the stairs, you grab it, and then of course if it falls off, you sort of make a half-hearted dive to catch it, and then pretty soon you're on the floor with a broken bone. So here we are in the kitchen, and this location is another area that just brings in a reminder about some orthopedic safety tips. We have here common kitchen appliances, which are these two ladders. And this is sort of a good point to compare because it's an example of why it's dangerous maybe to be a slave too much to fashion. While this ladder, this red one, looks nice, it's translucent and seems more attractive and compact, the reality is that the ladder next to it, this white one, is far safer. The red ladder is actually got a very narrow base, which makes it less stable, has no side rails or structural support, and more importantly, it has no handle like this white one does. So as you're approaching the ladder and getting onto it, if you lose your balance, this ladder is more likely not only to stay stable, but it gives you a handrail to grab, which can sort of help you keep your balance. And it really is truly just a split second of loss of balance that can spell disaster when you fall in the household. I'm just noticing here on the countertop this bottle of pills that happens to be lying around. It says may cause drowsiness or dizziness, and this is yet another important point to remember. Certainly you wouldn't take any medication that affects your alertness when you're operating machinery or you're driving a car, but it's actually easy to underestimate the effect of medication that can have upon you when you're in the house. Taking medication that might make you drowsy or lose your alertness or balance can be also a spell disaster when you're around kitchen appliances or stairwells or anything on the floor that represents an obstacle. So just an important reminder to be especially careful when you're using any medication that makes you drowsy. Here we are in another location that demonstrates the danger of having articles or toys on the floor. This is a very common place to have things sort of thrown about casually, but it's very easy, especially at the bottom of a single step, to misjudge that there's a step in the first place and then to trip over the toys as you try and avoid them at the last minute. Another thing that's important to look at is this type of single step can be very, very deceptive because the color of the flooring is the same at both levels. And as you're approaching it from a few feet away, you can actually forget that there's a step there at all, and at the last second be surprised by the 6 or 8 inch step down and completely fall and lose your balance. So it actually might be a good idea to have something on the floor that is either a tread strip or something else that acts as a demarcation so that you can actually appreciate that there's a step off.